The Bold and the Beautiful, spoilers for the week of February 23rd, 27, are hinting at some big shakeups, romance, career drama, and even a fashion house in jeopardy. To me, it feels like the Forrester world is about to get messy in all the ways we secretly love. First, let's talk about Eric Forrester's exposed secret. I was wondering how long it would take before this exploded. And now that Bill Spencer and Katie Logan Spencer spilled the beans about Eric's role at Logan, things are about to get intense. Eric is going to clash with Ridge Forrester in a major way. I think his medical crisis is going to force him to admit his true motives, which means Ridge and Brooke Logan Forrester will have to deal with the fallout. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Brooke and Ridge start pointing fingers at Katie and Bill for pushing Eric too hard. He's supposed to be resting, not getting dragged into more chaos. And speaking of Eric, his health might force him to step down as Katie's lead designer. That could put Katie in a serious bind. I keep wondering, will she have to scrap her dream launch entirely, or could someone like Deke Sharp step up to help her finish the collection? That's a storyline I'm really curious to see unfold. Meanwhile, Taylor Hayes and Deacon Sharp are walking a very fine line with temptation. I think they'll try to keep their distance, but knowing this show, a passionate collision seems inevitable. If that happens, Steffi Forrester Finnegan could make a shocking discovery, and I wouldn't put it past her to shut Taylor out of the family as she promised. And let's not forget Sheila Sharp. If Taylor and Deacon sneak around, I have a feeling Sheila might catch wind of it, which could make things even more infuriating. On a softer note, Melissa Dillon is set to comfort Will Spencer after his split from Electra Forrester, and I think this is a moment where she could grow closer to him. At the same time, R.J. Forrester may be consoling Electra and hoping this is his chance to win her heart. It's like everyone is trying to figure out love in the middle of chaos. And then we have Carter Walton and Daphne Rose, newlyweds who are focusing on their next chapter, moving into their high-rise apartment and, eventually, trying to start a family. I didn't realize just how much the baby-making storyline could bring both humor and heartbreak, but I have a feeling their attempts might be more complicated than they expect. All in all, the drama is heating up for multiple characters, and I think the week of February 23-27 is going to be full of tension, romance, and a few surprises that will keep us glued to the screen. I think The Bold and the Beautiful just dropped the ball on what could have been one of its biggest storylines, and honestly, I get why fans are upset. The show set up this sizzling plot with Eric Forrester and then veered off in a completely different direction. Remember how shocked and hurt Eric was when he walked into that surprise retirement party? Ridge was dead set on pushing him out, insisting it was about Eric's health. But Eric clearly wasn't ready to step down. To me, that moment had so much potential. Instead of giving Eric the chance to shine, the show nudged him toward Katie Logan Spencer's fashion house, setting up a direct face-off with Forrester Creations. And imagine the drama, especially with the tension between Katie and Brooke Logan Forrester bubbling underneath. It had all the ingredients for a months-long fashion rivalry that could have been absolutely electric. But no, the writers decided to pivot back to another medical crisis for Eric. And I'm thinking, seriously, how many health scares can this guy have before it stops feeling fresh? Seeing Ridge be right yet again just isn't as fun when you were hoping Eric would finally get his moment to shine. Fans on social media are clearly feeling it. They're tired of the endless health drama and frustrated by the fact that Ridge and Brooke always seem to come out on top. Eric at Logan could have been spectacular. Imagine him delivering jaw-dropping designs, shaking up the fashion world, and proving Ridge wrong in a way that actually mattered. Instead, it looks like Eric's secret is going to unravel in the most catastrophic way possible, reinforcing the same old narrative. Even if Katie manages to keep Logan afloat in the coming months, the show is missing the spark of that Eric versus Ridge showdown we were all waiting for. To me, it feels like a real missed opportunity. There was so much room for triumph, rivalry, and chaos, and instead, we're back to health drama and predictable outcomes. I'm hoping the writers have some other curveballs up their sleeve, but for now, the Eric and Ridge fashion battle feels like a story we'll never fully get to see. The latest Bold and the Beautiful spoilers for Thursday, February 19th, hint at some explosive drama at the Forrester mansion. It seems Eric Forrester is about to hit a breaking point now that Ridge knows the truth. His health could take a serious downturn after a fiery clash with his son. Bill, as usual, will be quick to jump in, thinking it might be time to call the paramedics. The tension starts with Katie Logan Spencer finally coming clean about her latest hire, Eric himself. Yes, Katie has made Eric her lead designer, and Ridge is understandably outraged. To him, this is nothing short of betrayal, and you can bet he's going to make his feelings very clear. Brooke Logan Forrester won't take this news any better. She's likely to berate Katie for even thinking about this arrangement, while Bill will be right there defending Katie, arguing they were well within their rights, especially since Ridge had previously given Eric the boot. The showdown between Ridge and Eric is shaping up to be intense. As their confrontation escalates, Eric struggles to catch his breath, making everyone, including Donna Logan Forrester, freak out. Bill quickly suggests calling 911, and given Eric's breathing issues, Donna won't hesitate to agree. Of course, Eric is stubborn and might resist a hospital visit once he calms down. But for now, the scene promises some genuinely scary moments. Meanwhile, Liam Spencer and Hope Logan Spencer are caught in the middle of all the fallout. Liam's slip about Eric's new role at Logan has set the stage for Brooke and Ridge's inevitable fury. Hope, already on edge over the tension between Brooke and Katie, knows this revelation is only going to stoke the fire. She can understand why Katie wanted a designer of Eric's caliber, but she also realizes it's going to unleash a full-blown storm of drama. So, while Liam and Hope prepare themselves for the chaos, the truth is, it's already arrived at the Forrester mansion, and no one there is likely to walk away unscathed. The Bold and the Beautiful recap, Wednesday, February 18th. I think Wednesday's episode of The Bold and the Beautiful was pure chaos, all thanks to Katie Logan Spencer spilling the beans about Eric Forrester's secret designer role. And wow, Ridge Forrester's reaction? Let's just say it was everything. At the Forrester mansion, Eric was acting like retirement meant he finally had time to sketch again, but Ridge couldn't hide his excitement. He loved Eric's designs and immediately suggested turning them into part of Forrester Creations' couture line. Of course, Eric shot him down, insisting the sketches weren't meant for anyone else. Ridge started worrying that Eric might be hiding a health issue, but Donna Logan Forrester quickly shut that theory down. Still, Ridge couldn't wrap his head around why Eric had been so absent lately, or why he refused to share his work with the company. He guessed it might have something to do with the retirement party drama, and insisted Eric needed to keep designing, because Ridge missed both his dad and Eric the artist. Honestly, I felt a little sorry for Ridge here. I get it, he just wanted the man back. Touched by Ridge's words, Eric seemed to soften, but when Ridge started plotting the runway debut, silks, fabrics, the whole 9 yards, Eric cryptically admitted he'd done something, leaving Ridge and Brooke completely baffled. Meanwhile, at Spencer Publications, Liam Spencer stumbled across one of Eric's sketches and froze when Hope Logan Spencer showed up looking for Katie. She immediately sensed Liam's tension and eventually figured out that the mysterious designer behind these sketches wasn't some random talent. It was Eric. And, if she was right, these could easily be Forrester originals. Liam couldn't hold it in any longer and confessed to Hope that Eric was indeed Katie's secret designer. I have to admit, I was as shocked as Hope. He even hinted that this revelation would be the fashion story of the year. Back at the Spencer mansion, Katie was nervous about Eric overworking himself and risking his health. Bill Spencer, predictably, brushed her concerns aside, insisting that Eric could handle it and should honor his commitment. But Katie wasn't convinced. They could still launch the line without pushing Eric too hard. Her intuition kicked in, and when Donna didn't reply to her texts, Katie got that sinking feeling we all know means trouble. Bill and Katie decided to check on Eric in person. When they arrived at the Forrester mansion, Ridge and Brooke were understandably confused. Katie reminded them this was her sister's house too, while Bill framed it as a quick health check on Eric. Subtle, right? Ridge, of course, couldn't resist throwing shade, implying that Logan's new designer could never match the brilliance of Eric's work. Katie finally snapped. She told Ridge it might actually be freeing for Eric to come clean. Then, in true dramatic fashion, she pointed directly at Eric. He was her lead designer. Cue Ridge and Brooke's jaws dropping. Ridge, shaking his head, demanded the truth. "You're working for Katie? And Spencer?" "Yep, that's exactly what happened. I didn't realize just how tense this would get. But let's be real. The Bold and the Beautiful is setting up a massive showdown between Ridge and Eric. The hostility is going to be off the charts, and I, for one, cannot wait." At the Forrester mansion, Brooke and Ridge suddenly lose all concern for subtlety and decide to grill Eric about his sketches. Eric, playing it cool, shrugs it off, saying he's just been dabbling in some drawing since retiring. But Ridge isn't buying it. There's definitely more going on here. I couldn't help but wonder, is Eric hiding a secret masterpiece? Meanwhile, over at Spencer, Hope strolls in, plants a kiss on Liam, and immediately senses something is off. Liam stammers, clearly caught off guard. Hope explains she's on a mission to check on Katie and the growing tension between her and her mother. As Hope rambles, and let's be honest, she always rambles, Liam's discomfort grows. Then Hope spots the gorgeous sketches on the desk, and his grimace says it all. Liam caves faster than I ever expected. He just can't keep the secret any longer. Back at Bill's place, he's still rambling about Eric needing to produce and whining about the cheaper silk. Katie worries, of course, and Bill reassures her Eric will be fine, which, as soap logic dictates, usually means he's about to hit trouble. Still, Katie manages to tame Bill a bit and gets him to agree they should be mindful of Eric's health. She decides to text Donna to check in. Meanwhile, Brooke and Ridge are pawing through Eric's sketches like kids in a candy store. Ridge can't hide his excitement. These designs are so good they could be Forrester originals. Naturally, Ridge wants them in his couture line immediately. Eric is suddenly under the microscope as Ridge bombards him with questions and requests, practically begging him to bring the designs to Forrester. "Let's do it!" Ridge practically shouts. Cue the setup for a massive confrontation. Katie, not getting a reply from Donna, decides she's heading over to the Forrester mansion, and Bill, of course, tags along. Back at the mansion, Ridge is packing Eric's bags, giving him the classic guilt trip speech about how much he means to him and how much he's missed him. He sweetens the deal by promising Eric the good Italian silk if he agrees to join the line. As Eric starts to reveal, "I've done something," Katie and Bill make their grand entrance. At Spencer, Liam finally spills. Katie's mystery designer isn't just talented, they're a legend. And yes, it's Eric Forrester. The way he drags it out practically screams, "This is going to be a huge reveal." Back at the Forrester mansion, Ridge is caught off guard when Katie and Bill burst in. Ridge protests, "They didn't even knock." Katie reminds him it's her sister's house, but Bill can't resist a jab, pointing out they're just checking on Eric since Ridge apparently put him out to pasture. Brooke, ever the instigator, gleefully spills the beans about Eric's fabulous new designs and how Ridge is encouraging him to bring them to Forrester. Ridge, of course, needles back that brilliance like this doesn't come around every day. Then comes the moment of truth. Katie, unable to contain herself, steps up. "You want to know who my designer is? You're looking at him. Eric is the lead designer for Logan." And just like that, Ridge's head spins like a cartoon character. "Is this true? You're working for Katie and Spencer?" Next on The Bold and the Beautiful, Eric and Ridge face off in a confrontation with potentially devastating results. Spoiler alert, things are about to get messy, and you won't want to miss it. I was thinking about the latest developments on The Bold and the Beautiful, and it looks like Steffi Forrester might be pregnant again, but probably not in the way fans are expecting. From what I'm seeing, there's a strong chance she'll agree to be a surrogate for Daphne Rose after Daphne and her new husband, Carter Walton, discover they can't conceive on their own. What strikes me, though, is that they've only been trying for a few months. Already thinking about surrogacy feels fast, but I guess that's soap logic for you. Whether Steffi can carry the baby safely to term is another story, especially given all the stress she's juggling at Forrester Creations and in her own family. Fans, of course, have had a lot to say about where this storyline could go. Some are worried, saying things like, Every surrogacy story on this show ends in disaster, miscarriages, accidents, even surrogates losing the ability to have more children. Others are pointing out that Steffi is already running the family business and managing her personal life, questioning if the show would really push such a bizarre storyline just for drama. And then there are the comments about Steffi herself, reminders that she's not exactly the easiest person to hand a baby back to. Phoebe, Beth, fans remember. Some even wonder if Steffi might be a little long in the tooth to take on another pregnancy. But hey, with B&B, nothing is ever off limits. At the end of the day, we'll all have to tune in day by day to see how this plays out. If history is any guide, Steffi's journey is never simple, and I have a feeling this storyline will have plenty of twists ahead. The Bold and the Beautiful airs weekdays on CBS. Check your local listing so you don't miss a moment. The Bold and the Beautiful, spoilers for Thursday, February 19th, 2026, are setting the stage for some explosive family drama. I have to say, Ridge Forrester's about to lose it over Katie Logan Spencer's big confession. It all starts with Ridge apologizing to Eric and urging him to return to Forrester Creations after seeing some of Eric's latest designs. But here's the twist. Eric actually created those designs for Katie, not the family business. He kept that a secret until Katie and Bill Spencer walked in. At that moment, Katie decided enough was enough and finally told the truth. And Ridge's reaction? Let's just say it's not going to be pretty. Declaring Eric as her lead designer is basically a betrayal in Ridge's eyes. I get why he's furious. His father was essentially helping the competition. But to me, Eric's position makes sense. Ridge, Brooke, and Steffi were all pushing Eric toward retirement, worried about his health. But all it did was make Eric feel sidelined, like his value had been taken away. And honestly, Katie didn't ask Eric to do this. He volunteered. She would have been crazy to say no. So really, it's Eric's choice, and he's standing by it. Of course, Ridge's anger won't exactly make things easier. Eric defends himself, reminding Ridge that he built Forrester Creations from the ground up. But the tension reaches a breaking point when Eric suddenly struggles to breathe. The stress proves too much, and everyone rushes to calm him down. In a terrifying preview, the screen goes black, and all you hear is Ridge screaming for someone to call 911. Once Eric is rushed to the hospital, the family anxiously awaits news. And I can already see Ridge finding someone to blame. Bill and Katie quickly become targets. After all, Bill's been pushing Eric to finish the collection faster, and now it seems like his and Katie's relationship might hit its first major snag since remarrying. So what happens next? Will Eric pull through? How will this impact the future of Forrester Creations and the Logan family dynamics? Honestly, this Thursday's episode is shaping up to be a roller coaster. Personally, I'm most curious to see Ridge's reaction and whether this crisis finally forces the family to reevaluate their priorities. The Bold and the Beautiful, spoilers have me thinking. February sweeps are wrapping up, and wow, what a whirlwind it's been. So many stories have moved forward. And honestly, the drama isn't slowing down anytime soon. Take Eric Forrester, for instance. I didn't realize how big of a shakeup his move to Logan Designs would be. But it's definitely going to create some fireworks. Eric has been pouring himself into finishing Katie Logan Spencer's designs, but now he's having breathing problems. Is he just overworking himself? Or is this the start of another serious health scare? I can't help but wonder if this will throw a wrench into the timing of the big reveal about his connection to Logan Designs. And could Deke Sharp step in to help? That could get messy. Meanwhile, Taylor Hayes and Deacon Sharp have finally admitted what I think we've all been waiting for. They have feelings for each other. But of course, it's never that simple. Steffi Forrester is in total panic mode, terrified that Sheila Sharp might target Taylor because of her connection to Deacon. Taylor and Deacon have been resisting their feelings for months, but the longer they hold back, the more explosive this is bound to be. I can only imagine Sheila's reaction when she discovers the truth about their romance. It's going to be chaos. Then there's the heartbreak saga with Electra Forrester and Will Spencer. Thanks to Ivy Forrester stirring up drama with Dylan, Will is now slipping out of Electra's grasp, and poor Electra is left devastated, which opens the door for RJ Forrester to step in and support his cousin. Or At least, someone he's got a connection with. Add in the spark between RJ and Dylan, and suddenly we might be looking at a very tangled love triangle. The chemistry there could ignite some real trouble. And let's not forget the slightly happier corner of the story, Carter Walton and Daphne Rose. Their February sweeps wedding just happened, and now they're dreaming about starting a family. But knowing B&B, smooth sailing, is never guaranteed. I'm curious to see what obstacles might appear next for this couple. All in all, as sweeps wind down, The Bold and the Beautiful is serving a perfect mix of romance, rivalry, and looming crises. From secret affairs to potential health scares and tangled love triangles, February's drama has set the stage for some very intense storylines. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. The latest spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful hint that Dylan might be bold, she might be beautiful, but don't be surprised if she's a little mischievous, and maybe even downright dangerous. All signs seem to point toward Dylan taking a darker turn in the weeks ahead. In fact, Elektra is about to learn just how far Dylan is willing to go when her life is put at risk, and it all revolves around Will Spencer. If you thought Luna stirred up trouble, brace yourself. Dylan is shaping up to be on a whole new level. She's ready to bury secrets, cover her tracks, and act like nothing ever happened. B&B fans have had plenty to say about this unfolding drama on social media. Some noticed red flags early on. That was so weird. Something is off about her, calling Will her prince but not being upset that her friendship with Elektra ended over a misunderstanding is a red flag. Others took a more measured view. I think Dylan has a crush on Will, but she's been respectful of Will and Elektra's relationship. Now that Elektra broke up with Will, Dylan's going to make her move. That's fair. It doesn't make her a psycho, and I really hope the show doesn't go that route. And then there's this perspective. The actress playing Dylan confirmed she's nothing like Luna. She's not going to be a full-blown psycho character, but that doesn't mean she can't be mischievous, petty, or even out for a little revenge. Everyone has a breaking point. To me, it feels like Dylan's story is about to get explosive, and I'm honestly not sure whether we should be rooting for her or fearing her. Either way, B&B fans are in for a wild ride. The Bold and the Beautiful airs weekdays on CBS, so you'll have to tune in daily to see just how far Dylan is willing to go. I think Thursday, February 19th, on The Bold and the Beautiful is shaping up to be a real roller coaster, especially with Eric and Ridge finally confronting each other over Eric designing for Logan. And honestly, the fallout from this argument is going to be intense. Before Christmas, Ridge decided it was time for Eric to retire from the fashion world. Eric, of course, didn't see it that way. He still had plenty of creative fire left and wasn't ready to step aside. But Ridge went ahead with a retirement celebration anyway, and I can't help but feel how pushed aside and disconnected Eric must have felt at Forrester Creations. To me, it seemed almost inevitable that Eric would look for a way to reclaim his passion. That opportunity came when Katie stepped into a new chapter after Bill gifted her a fashion house following their remarriage. She knew she needed a seasoned designer to make her vision for the company a reality, and Eric was more than ready to dive in. I didn't realize just how much this secret project would stir the pot behind the scenes. While Katie and Brooke hashed out branding and the company's direction, Eric quietly worked on building a new collection, and eventually, Katie officially named the new fashion house Logan. Of course, the pressure started mounting as the launch deadline approached. Bill was relentless, pushing Eric to finish the designs faster so Katie's team could start production. I was a little worried watching Eric struggle. His stress literally led to a breathing episode, and Donna had to rush him to the hospital. Meanwhile, Brooke and Ridge were still completely in the dark about who was designing for Logan. Liam found out first, and I think he really struggled with whether to tell Hope. Eventually, he did spill the truth. Then Bill and Katie made sure Brooke and Ridge finally learned that Eric was behind the designs. To me, this feels like a turning point. Eric is reclaiming his creative spark, but the confrontation with Ridge and all the secrecy has definitely set the stage for some dramatic consequences. I'm guessing the tension here is only going to escalate in the coming episodes. In the February 18th episode of The Bold and the Beautiful, Eric Forrester's secret finally came to light, but not without a lot of tension. I think Eric really tried to keep this under wraps, but the pressure was just too much. Ridge noticed something was off with his father. Eric seemed stressed, distracted, almost restless, and he couldn't ignore it. He had to find out what was going on. Eric's attempt at secrecy didn't exactly go as planned. His sketches were sprawled across the living room, giving away the fact that he was still deeply immersed in fashion. When Brooke and Ridge arrived at the mansion, they couldn't help but notice him feverishly sketching. That moment sparked an idea for Ridge. He apologized to Eric for pushing him out of Forrester Creations, expressing real guilt over the situation. He even extended an olive branch, inviting Eric back to the company so they could work together on a collection. Eric was clearly moved by his son's gesture, but I don't think he could accept Ridge's offer, not yet. He had already promised to design for Katie's fashion house, and now Bill was calling the shots there, despite his lack of expertise in the field. It's complicated, and Eric seemed torn between loyalty and passion. Brooke and Ridge could tell that Eric's creative spark wasn't gone. Watching him sketch again, they were reminded of the legend he truly is, and Ridge seemed determined to coax Eric back for one final collection. But Eric hesitated. His commitment to Katie weighed heavily on him, and eventually, he admitted to Ridge that he had taken action he hadn't shared yet. The tension escalated when Katie and Bill arrived at the mansion. Ridge tried to show them the designs, but Katie crossed a line by taking what wasn't hers. That's when she decided to come clean. She admitted that she didn't want Eric carrying this stress in silence anymore. It was better to have everything out in the open. Katie revealed that Eric was now her lead designer at Logan, and he wasn't the only one in the know. Hope found out too, thanks to Liam, who, let's face it, is not exactly the best at keeping secrets. Now that the cat is out of the bag, I can't help but wonder, will Eric feel a sense of relief now that he doesn't have to guard this secret anymore? Or could this revelation strain his relationship with Ridge? It's a delicate balance between passion, loyalty, and family, and it feels like the fallout is only just beginning. On The Bold and the Beautiful, tensions are already running high as Bill and Eric clash over Logan's debut collection. Eric was brought in to launch the line, but the clock is ticking, and Bill wants results yesterday. The problem? Eric has completely misunderstood the vision for this premiere collection. At Spencer Publications, Eric's reaction to the first two dresses was less than enthusiastic. He claimed the designs were all wrong, critiquing even the sketches, and pointing out the misstep with fabric choices. Bill, ever the pragmatist, argued they had to go with cheaper fabric and pressed Eric to hurry the collection along. The pressure only made Eric more stressed, and it's clear that Bill isn't thinking about the artistry at all. He's fixated on beating Ridge. Katie can't help but wonder if she made a mistake giving Bill that sword necklace. He seems completely consumed by competition rather than fashion. But Eric isn't blameless here either. The designs he presented looked like they were meant for Forrester Creations, his former employer. If he really wants to prove himself, now's the time to push boundaries and come up with something new. Eric insists he still has fresh ideas, but Bill and Katie can see that what he's offering is safe, familiar, and dangerously reminiscent of the rival brand. Spoilers hint that Ridge and Brooke will eventually find out from Katie and Bill that Eric has been secretly designing for them. That revelation is bound to shake things up at Forrester. Katie and Bill may need to start scouting new talent. Katie had previously considered hiring Deke, a young and ambitious fashion graduate. Though relatively unknown, Deke can create stunning designs quickly and bring a fresh perspective no one has seen before. If Logan's debut collection is going to make a splash, someone with that kind of energy might be exactly what they need. Eric Forrester is at it again on The Bold and the Beautiful, but this time it's not a life or death situation, at least, not exactly. Ever since agreeing to design Katie's debut collection for Logan, Eric's been under intense pressure. And for longtime fans, it might feel like déjà vu. Back in 2023, Eric's health had everyone on edge as he landed on his deathbed. But his portrayer, John McCook, assures us this is an entirely new storyline. What's surprising is that Eric's current project isn't going smoothly. Working with Bill and Katie has turned out to be more stressful than he expected. especially since he's been forced to debut his collection earlier than planned. For someone who just retired, this is hardly the relaxing next chapter he envisioned. And, of course, Ridge caught wind of his father's stress during a routine doctor's visit. They share the same physician, and he can't help but wonder why Eric is so tense. On the February 17th episode, viewers watched Eric clutch his chest while talking to Donna about stepping down as Logan's lead designer. He refused, despite his wife's clear concern. Naturally, this triggered flashbacks to 2023, when Eric secretly battled a medical crisis to compete against Ridge in the fashion showdown of the year. But McCook emphasizes that this story is different. In an interview with Soaps.com, he explained, "They're not reaching back into the illness he had a few years ago. Instead, this arc focuses on the very real stress Eric faces as he races to complete Katie's debut collection. Unlike the last time, the stress here isn't meant to suggest Eric's life is in danger. It's more a window into what he's going through. It's a device to show that something is clearly off with him and to explore how he handles it." Of course, fans have mixed reactions. Some hoped to see Eric finally come out on top against Ridge and Brooke, while others wished his secret struggles would have remained hidden until Logan's runway debut. McCook, however, isn't concerned with fan expectations. He's thrilled to dive into whatever Eric's story brings. He particularly enjoyed portraying Eric's reaction to the forced retirement, noting, "He was much more active in his reaction than, 'Oh my goodness, they've forced me into retirement. It's so sad.' I'm glad we got to do that." To me, it's fascinating how Eric's story keeps reinventing stress as drama. Even if he's not on his deathbed this time, the tension reminds us why we keep tuning in. With Eric, even retirement isn't peaceful, and fashion battles are never just about clothes. They're about heart, pride, and legacy. I was thinking, is Elektra Forrester turning out to be even more ruthless than Luna Nozawa? Because if you've been watching The Bold and the Beautiful, it sure feels that way. Elektra seems completely unhinged over Will Spencer, getting a little too cozy with Dylan. And sure, I get it. She and Will were in a committed relationship, so it makes sense she'd be upset. But to me, it almost feels like she's going way overboard. Instead of just stepping back and letting Will explore this connection with Dylan, she seems determined to make everyone's life miserable. It's like she can't stand the idea of Dylan having something she thinks belongs to her. And honestly, fans have been having a lot to say about it online. Some viewers point out that Elektra's insecurities and trust issues are just too much. One fan even said, "Since the beginning, she never trusted Will when it came to other girls. She jumps to conclusions and blames him for situations that were completely misunderstood." Others are rooting for Will and Dylan to grow closer. One comment stood out to me. "Will deserves better. He and Dylan have so much in common, more than he ever did with Elektra. He doesn't deserve a girlfriend who jumps to conclusions, blames him unfairly, and can't even show care for others." And then there's this really interesting perspective about how Elektra responds compared to Dylan. One fan wrote, "Not surprised that Elektra barely listened to Will. After what happened with Luna, he tried to open up, but Elektra made it all about herself. When Will shared that same experience with Dylan, at least she listened and showed compassion. So yeah, the drama is far from over. Elektra's antics are pushing all the right buttons for chaos, but we'll have to tune in every day to see how it all shakes out. The Bold and the Beautiful airs weekdays on CBS. The latest Bold and the Beautiful spoilers hint at some serious turbulence at the newest fashion house in town. Dollar Bill and Katie Spencer jumped headfirst into her brand new fashion company, but I can't help wondering if they might be biting off more than they can chew. When Bill gave Katie her very own fashion company as a wedding gift, viewers were stunned. I mean, no wonder the Spencer men are such sought-after bachelors in Los Angeles. But it seems like in their excitement, Bill and Katie may have skipped over the fine print. Who really owns this company? That question could become a huge issue. For now, Bill is still writing the checks and appears to be green-lighting Katie's decisions, but that might not last. This week, tensions rise in the Logan design room as Bill and Katie clash. Bill's focus is simple: turning a profit. Katie, however, is spending his money and delaying the launch to source Eric Forrester's favorite silk. I get it, silk is important, but is it worth risking the entire company? By week's end, spoilers suggest Eric Forrester may try to pull out of his partnership with the Spencer family. And without his design expertise, I can't help but wonder, does Katie's company even stand a chance? It looks like a legal battle over Eric's designs might be brewing once the truth comes out, which could mean sinking even more money into a fashion house that hasn't released a single stitch. At some point, I'm left questioning whether Bill might finally pull the plug. From a business perspective, could this company already be a sinking ship? One thing's for sure, it's going to be a dramatic ride. And I wouldn't be surprised if sparks and lawsuits start flying. I was really wondering how this was going to play out, but it looks like Eric Forrester's big comeback might already be hitting a snag. From what I saw, his designs aren't exactly the showstoppers Katie Logan was hoping for. Honestly though, should anyone be surprised? Ridge seemed to know all along that Eric had lost a bit of his magic. That's why he suggested Eric step back from Forrester Creations when he did. But Katie still believed in him. She was convinced he could work his magic and decided he should be the head designer at her new fashion house, Logan. The latest episode makes it feel like Eric left his talent behind at Forrester Creations, though. That wedding dress he designed for Daphne didn't exactly wow anyone. If I'm being honest, it seemed kind of underwhelming for a moment that was supposed to be huge. I can't help but wonder if Katie might start second-guessing her decision. Letting Eric go would crush him, and that's not something she wants to do. Ever. So of course, she's already cooking up some plan to make it work. But here's the thing, Ridge and Brooke aren't going to let her forget that they saw this coming a mile away. Katie's stuck in a classic lose-lose, and I'm kind of intrigued to see how she's going to navigate it. To me, it just feels like this drama is far from over. If you're a B&B fan like me, you know we're going to have to tune in every day to see how it all unfolds. Somehow, I have a feeling there's a lot more chaos, and maybe even some surprises, just around the corner. B&B airs weekdays on CBS, so if you want to catch the next twist, you know where to be. I think Eric Forrester might be regretting his latest move. Joining Katie Spencer's new fashion venture seemed like a smart play at first, but now, to me, it looks like he didn't fully think through the fallout. Signing on as Logan's new designer may have seemed exciting in the moment, but the consequences are finally catching up with him. From where I see it, Eric is starting to feel the weight of betraying his own family and their fashion legacy. This week, he's expected to come clean to Donna about wanting out of the deal he made with Beatty, and honestly, I don't blame him. Jumping into bed with the enemy has left him feeling guilty, anxious, and honestly, pretty stressed. I was wondering, though, how long could he really keep sneaking around La La Land in disguises and fibbing to the people he loves? Even his doctors warned him about stress, and yet here he is, practically living a double life. Things are about to blow wide open. Eric and Katie's secret partnership isn't going to stay hidden for long. And from what I've seen in previews, the fallout is going to be epic. The tension between Beatty and Bridge over Logan's new designer could even land Eric in the hospital. That's how intense it's getting. Of course, this is exactly what I expected. Brooke and Ridge are going to lose their minds when the truth comes out.